European Neighbourhood Policy was launched in 2004, just after the turn of the millennium, when Europe was feeling exceptionally prosperous, confident, optimistic about the future, and was looking forward to some further enlargements, taking in the countries of Central and Eastern Europe. And the idea was that once that happened, we would find ourselves with a new ring of neighbours. Expanded Europe would have to east and south another 16 countries butting up against it. And the thought about the neighbourhood policy was, well, we should address those countries, and they would be planets in the outer orbits of the European sun, and we should try to make them a little bit more like us. We should try to help them develop, democratise, develop better forms of government, and ensure that the enlarged Europe was surrounded with a ring of friends. Well, a little bit more than a decade on, we can look out over the periphery of Europe and see that we are actually surrounded by a ring of fire. I don't want to say this is all Europe's fault. It's the fault of people like Vladimir Putin, of Bashar al-Assad, of various extremist leaders, but the fact remains that our attempt at a steady, gradual transformation of the neighbouring countries has not succeeded. And we argue in this input to the Commission's policy review on the neighbourhood policy that we need to understand just how deeply the neighbourhood has changed, just how little ownership and control we have of it, how extensively other forces are at work there which we can't outspend or can't outfight. And therefore we argue that we need to adopt an altogether more realistic and rather more targeted and rather more modest policy towards this set of countries. And indeed, as far as possible, break out of a fixation on these particular 16 countries. Because if you look to the south, for example, what really matters to Europeans right now is migration. And that's not a problem that's going to go away after this summer. That's going to be with us for a number of years. We've got conflict, we've got economic deprivation, we've got people coming from Africa, from wider parts of the Middle East. We can't address this crisis by confining ourselves solely to looking at the 16 countries of the ENP along the North African littoral. We have to do more foreign policy and look further out beyond the immediate neighbourhood.